The gloomy city of Snoozeville was the absolute most boring place on earth. It was completely gray, terribly dark, and constantly smelled like cold, boiled cabbage. Mayor Grump Pants was a very grumpy man who wore gray suits, ate gray porridge, and had banned electricity because he claimed it made a highly suspicious buzzing noise. Everyone had to sit in the dark, twiddling their thumbs. Murigan was not a boy who liked twiddling his thumbs. He liked zooming, zapping, and zipping. He had a brain packed full of sparkly ideas. "This dark old city is a giant snooze fest," Murigan shouted one Tuesday afternoon. "Shh," whispered his best friend Leo, hiding behind a gray trash can. "The mayor will hear you." "I do not care even a little bit," Murigan declared boldly. "We need lights. We need dazzling colors. We need giant neon flamingos right now." Murigan decided to fix things his own way. He sneaked into the abandoned town junkyard with Leo and a giant rusty wagon. They started gathering old bicycle parts, broken umbrellas, and enormous glass jars. Murigan pulled out his secret stash of glow-in-the-dark paint and a very special jar of hyperactive, supercharged fireflies. "What are we building exactly?" Leo asked, painting an old car hubcap bright hot pink. "A new city," Murigan grinned a mischievous grin. "A vibrant city with so much energy it will make your eyeballs do a happy dance." For 3 long weeks, they hammered, painted, and glued. Soon, a whole army of kids joined them. They connected dozens of bicycles to old car batteries to make glowing dynamos. They painted entire mountains of trash with neon green and electric blue stripes. Finally, they built a secret glowing metropolis right in the middle of the junkyard. It had a flashing Ferris wheel made from a giant tractor tire. "Pedal faster!" Murigan yelled to his friends. The kids pedaled the bicycles, and suddenly the whole junkyard lit up like a rainbow explosion. The dazzling, colorful lights beamed straight up into the pitch-black sky. It was so bright that Mayor Grump Pants woke up with a start in his dreary mansion. He peeked out his window and gasped so hard he nearly swallowed his false teeth. "What in the name of soggy turnips is that?" the mayor shrieked in horror. He threw on his bathrobe and stomped all the way down to the junkyard. When he kicked open the rusty gates, his jaw dropped to his fuzzy slippers. Kids were zooming down neon slides. Glowing umbrellas spun in the air like electric UFOs. The dark old city had completely vanished under a wave of vibrant joy. "Stop this nonsense at once!" the mayor roared, his face turning the color of a squished tomato. "Fun is forbidden! Turn off those colors!" "We can't turn it off!" Murigan shouted back, dangling from a glowing jungle gym. "It runs purely on pedal power and friendship!" The mayor stomped forward, determined to smash a shiny red button on a dynamo machine. But he didn't look where he was going. His slipper caught on a bouncy neon spring. Boing! The angry mayor went flying through the air like a giant cannonball. "Ah!" he yelled, flailing his arms. He landed right on a bright yellow bicycle seat. His feet accidentally smacked the pedals, pushing them rapidly forward. Instantly, a giant disco ball made of recycled CDs sparkling wildly. The bicycle's energy started playing loud, bouncy dance music. The mayor froze. His left foot tapped, then his right foot tapped. Suddenly, Mayor Grump-Pants threw his hands in the air and started doing the funky chicken. "I can't stop," the mayor laughed uncontrollably. "This energy is actually amazing." "I told you so," Murugan cheered. Soon all the boring adults rushed over in their pajamas. They saw the mayor dancing and jumped onto bicycles themselves. They pedaled, danced, and laughed until the sun came up. Murugan's vibrant city of colorful lights had saved the day. Creativity and teamwork can bring vibrant light and joy to even the most boring places. Once upon a time, in the bright and busy city of Lima, Peru, lived a kind boy named Murugan. The streets of Lima were always filled with tall yellow buildings, bright pink wooden balconies, and the delicious smell of fresh warm corn and roasted potatoes. One beautiful sunny afternoon, Murugan was walking near the historic main square when he saw something truly amazing and impossible to ignore. Standing near a large stone fountain was a tiny, green and blue mini zebra. She had the most elegant, long eyelashes that fluttered gracefully every single time she blinked. Her name was Isadora, and she looked very sad and lost in the big city. Murugan stopped in his tracks and slowly approached the colorful little animal so he would not frighten her. He could tell by the way her little hooves tapped nervously on the gray cobblestones that she did not know which way to go. Isadora looked up at Murugan with her big, gentle eyes, and her long eyelashes fluttered once more. She nudged her little head toward the bustling, historic streets, hoping someone kind would guide her. Murugan knew exactly what to do. He smiled warmly and waved his hand forward, showing Isadora that he was a safe friend who would help her find her way home. They immediately started their exciting journey through the vibrant and winding alleys of Lima. Isadora trotted closely beside Murugan, her bright green and blue stripes shimmering brightly under the warm, golden Peruvian sun. The local people in the market stopped to watch the magical mini zebra walk by, pointing and smiling happily at the wonderful sight. Murugan felt very proud to walk beside his beautiful new friend. He made sure to keep Isadora away from the loud honking cars and the busy wooden market carts. Instead, he guided her gently through the quietest, safest, and most colorful walking paths the city had to offer. As Murugan and Isadora walked further through the sprawling city of Lima, they passed beautiful outdoor gardens filled with bright red and purple flowers. Isadora absolutely loved the colorful flowers and stopped to sniff every single one, wagging her tiny striped tail in pure joy. Murugan patiently waited for her, enjoying the peaceful, happy moment in the middle of the lively city. He knew they were getting closer to the famous large park with giant water fountains where Isadora's family was known to gather. The little green and blue zebra seemed to sense it too, because her steps suddenly became much faster, lighter, and bouncier. Soon they crossed into a wide green park filled with tall swaying trees, soft grass, and singing birds. Isadora perked up her adorable striped ears. From behind a large row of leafy green bushes, a magnificent group of other mini zebras appeared. They all had the exact same bright green and blue stripes and beautiful long eyelashes. Isadora let out a happy little snort and galloped toward them as fast as her tiny hoofs could carry her. Her family immediately surrounded her, nuzzling her affectionately and jumping with relief. Murugan stood back and watched the joyful, heartwarming reunion, his heart feeling completely full and warm. Isadora turned around and trotted back to Murugan one last time before leaving. She gently rested her soft nose against his hand, silently thanking him for being so brave, caring, and kind. Murugan gave her a gentle pat on the head, promising that he would always remember this wonderful adventure. The magical green and blue mini zebra finally returned to her family, and Murugan walked back through the colorful streets of Lima. He was incredibly happy, knowing that true friendship could bloom absolutely anywhere, even between a young boy and a very special little zebra in the beautiful heart of Peru. True friendship and kindness can guide anyone home, no matter how lost they might feel. In the bright and sunny city of Piora lived a very special friend. Ximena was a lovely green mini zebra with bright blue stripes. She also had the longest, most beautiful eyelashes in the whole world. Ximena loved her city because it was always warm and filled with happy colors. But today, she had a very important mission. She wanted to find the sweetest mangoes in all of Peru to share with her friends. As she trotted down a dusty, sunlit path, she met her good friend Tito, a cheerful little bird with long yellow legs. "Hello, Ximena. Where are you going today?" "Hi, Tito. I am looking for the giant sweet mango tree. Do you know where it is?" "I sure do, but it is far away. We will have to cross the big river together." Ximena fluttered her long eyelashes and smiled brightly. She was so happy to have a friend to help her on this sweet adventure. Ximena and Tito traveled across the warm, golden sands of Piora. Soon they heard the wonderful sound of splashing water. They had reached the sparkling river. But the river was very wide, and Ximena was a very mini zebra. Her little hooves could not touch the bottom, and she felt a little nervous. Sitting on a warm rock by the water was Iggy, a wise and friendly iguana. Iggy loved seeing new friends visit the river. "Good morning. Are you trying to cross the water?" "Yes, please. We are looking for the sweet mangoes, but I am too small to swim across." "Do not worry, little zebra. Step on the large flat rocks. I will show you the safe way." Tito flew above, pointing out the best rocks, while Iggy guided Ximena step by step. They all worked perfectly as a team. Ximena hopped carefully from stone to stone, feeling very brave and incredibly thankful for her amazing friends. Right on the other side of the river stood the most magnificent tree they had ever seen. Its green leaves sparkled in the Piora sun, and it was full of big, yellow, juicy mangoes. Ximena jumped with joy, her blue stripes shining brightly. But the mangoes were very high up in the branches, and she could not reach them. "I can help with that." Tito fluttered up into the leaves and gently nudged the ripest mangoes. They fell softly into the soft grass below. Iggy helped gather them into a neat little pile. Ximena took a big bite of a golden mango. It was the sweetest, most delicious treat in the world. "Thank you, Tito and Iggy. Sharing these mangoes with you makes them taste even sweeter." Under the shade of the giant tree, the green mini zebra, the joyful bird, and the wise iguana had a wonderful picnic. They learned that the best adventures are the ones we share with our friends. The sweetest things in life are even better when we share them with our lovely friends. Chester the cheetah was the fastest runner in the jungle, but he was incredibly, wonderfully, magnificently bad at the alphabet. He stood at the front of the sunny jungle classroom, holding a long, crinkly scroll. Behind him was a giant wooden alphabet board with mixed animals. In the front row sat Professor Parrot. The green bird tapped his wooden pointer stick. "Begin your phonics test, Chester, and do not mess it up this time." Chester puffed out his spotted chest, flashed a sparkly smile, and unrolled his scroll. The other animals leaned in. They loved Chester's tests because they were always a spectacular disaster. A is for chicken. B is for elephant. C is for rabbit. D is for fox. E is for walrus. F is for quail. G is for vulture. H is for penguin. Professor Parrot gasped. His bright green feathers ruffled up like a giant angry pine cone. The jungle classroom erupted in giggles. A monkey fell out of his chair laughing. Chester didn't notice the chaos at all. He was totally in the zone. He pointed dramatically at the alphabet board, tapping a picture of a flying pig. I is for monkey. J is for yak. K is for alligator. L is for bear. M is for giraffe. N is for tiger. O is for hamster. P is for unicorn. Q is for frog. R is for octopus. S is for lion. Professor Parrot was now gripping his little wooden desk with both claws, sweating tiny bird bullets. "Stop this instant! This is alphabetical anarchy! You are mixing up all the animals!" But Chester was too fast. He zoomed across the room, spinning in a happy yellow blur. He loved phonics. He loved letters. He loved being completely, utterly wrong. He took a deep breath to finish his glorious list. Chester struck a heroic pose, holding his crinkly scroll high. T is for zebra. U is for dog. V is for kangaroo. W is for ibex. X is for snake. Y is for jaguar. Suddenly, Chester froze. He dropped his scroll on the floor. He stared at the ceiling. He scratched his spotted chin. The whole classroom went completely silent. Even Professor Parrot stopped squawking. Z is for... Chester panicked. He looked at his best friend, a tiny blue beetle named Bob. Bob gave him a double thumbs up and whispered a hilarious secret idea. Chester grinned a giant, goofy cheetah grin. He pointed straight at Professor Parrot. Z is for zookeeper. Professor Parrot dramatically fainted, tumbling backwards out of his chair with a little thud. The entire jungle classroom cheered and clapped. Chester took a grand bow. It was the worst phonics test in history, and it was absolutely magnificent. It is perfectly okay to make magnificent mistakes, as long as you make people smile and keep trying. In the colorful city of Endor, there lived a wonderful dragon named Ashima. She was beautiful. Her scales were neon dark blue and light cream yellow. She had long, lovely eyelashes and a sparkly bindi on her forehead. Ashima loved watching the busy streets and smelling the delicious food from the nearby food stalls. One sunny morning, Ashima heard a very loud noise coming from a bright yellow house. "I do not want poha. I want pizza." Inside, a young boy named Rohan was crying and waving his arms wildly. He was throwing a big tantrum at the breakfast table. His mom looked very tired and frustrated. "You need to eat your poha, Rohan. It is good for you," she yelled, feeling very overwhelmed by the loud morning. The delicious plate of yellow flattened rice sat completely untouched. Ashima peeked through the open window. She did not like seeing her neighbors so sad and upset. She decided to use her big dragon heart to help them. Ashima gently tapped on the window frame and poked her friendly blue and yellow snout inside. The kitchen instantly felt magical. Rohan stopped crying and opened his eyes very wide. His mom gasped softly in surprise. "Hello, friends. Why are we so sad on such a bright morning?" Ashima asked with a warm, gentle smile. "I want pizza, but Mom made poha. I do not like it," Rohan sniffled, crossing his little arms. Ashima nodded slowly, making her bright bindi sparkle in the bright sunlight. "Pizza is very tasty, that is true, but yelling hurts our feelings, right? Sometimes, when we are very hungry, our big feelings get totally out of control," the dragon explained kindly. Rohan looked at his mom, who looked a little sad. He felt sorry for making a big fuss. "I am sorry for yelling, Mommy," he whispered softly. "And I am sorry I yelled too, Rohan. Let us take a deep breath together," his mom said, giving him a big, tight hug. Now that everyone was calm and happy, Ashiman looked at the bright yellow poha on the table. "Did you know poha is actually morning treasure? Look at those sunny colors," Ashima cheered, sprinkling a little extra magical joy around the room. "Morning treasure?" Rohan asked, looking at his bowl curiously. "Yes, let us make it fun. If we add some crunchy sev on top, it crunches just like a pizza crust," Ashima suggested happily. Rohan sprinkled the crunchy sev over his bowl. He took a little spoonful, then a bigger one. His eyes lit up with absolute joy. "Wow, it is crunchy and yummy. Thank you, Ashima," the boy laughed happily. "Friendship makes everything taste better, and maybe we can have pizza for dinner." Ashima smiled, her long eyelashes fluttering in the breeze. The little kitchen indoor was full of giggles, crunching sounds, and lots of love. Ashima was very happy to help her new friends start the day right. True friendship helps us calm our big feelings and discover that new things can be surprisingly wonderful. In the warm desert sands, a special little bird dashed around. Her name was Naya, a bright emerald green roadrunner with pretty eyelashes and 2 black circles around her eyes. When Naya was just a tiny baby, she loved to drink sweet milk from a little baby bottle. Naya would zoom past the cactus plants, holding her bottle tight. She was very happy, but soon she started to grow bigger and faster. "Look at me run!" Naya chirped to the desert breeze. Because she was growing, Naya did not need her baby bottle anymore. She began drinking cool water from a bright yellow sippy cup. It had 2 handles, making it perfect for a zooming toddler bird. She loved carrying her sippy cup while racing a little desert tortoise. They became fast friends, always stopping to take a refreshing sip together in the shade. Months passed, and Naya grew even taller. Her emerald green feathers sparkled under the desert sun. She was too big for her sippy cup now. Instead, she proudly drank from a big Roadrunner cup with a sturdy straw. "This cup is for fast runners only," Naya told her friend, the little tortoise. They planned a wonderful picnic near a large shady rock. Naya filled her big Roadrunner cup with cold, fresh water. But as they were setting up their snacks, a strong gust of desert wind blew past. The wind caught Naya's big cup and rolled it far away into a prickly bush. "Oh no! My special cup is gone!" Naya cried, flapping her green wings. She tried to reach it, but the thorns were too sharp. Naya felt sad. How could she enjoy the picnic without her favorite cup? She did not want her friend to be thirsty alone. The little tortoise patted Naya's foot to comfort her. "We can share my water, Naya," the tortoise said with a kind smile. Just then, a wise, older Roadrunner walked over. He had seen the cup blow away. "You do not need that big cup anymore, Naya. You are a fast, grown-up bird now," he said gently. He handed Naya a shiny, clear plastic cup. It had no lid and no straw, just like the cups adults used. Naya held it carefully. She poured some water from the tortoise's jug into her new grown-up cup. It felt perfectly balanced in her wings. "Thank you! I am finally an adult!" Naya cheered joyfully. She tapped her clear plastic cup gently against the tortoise's water jug. They enjoyed their lovely picnic in the beautiful desert, happy to share the moment and excited for Naya's new adventure. As you grow up and try new things, kind friends will always be there to help you along the way. Once upon a time, there was a cheerful American clown named Bob and a joyful Bangladeshi clown named Neelu. Both of them loved to make children smile, but most of all, they absolutely loved to juggle. Bob always carried a shiny bag full of bright red, white, and blue juggling balls. Neelu always brought his special box filled with vibrant green and red juggling balls. One sunny morning, both clowns traveled from their faraway homes to perform at a wonderful global festival. The festival was huge, filled with colorful tents, sweet treats, and happy families walking around. The crowd was already buzzing with excitement to see the fun performances. When Bob and Neelu arrived at the bright festival stage, they were both eager to practice their tricks. Bob started tossing his smooth balls high into the sky, while Neelu spun his colorful balls in quick circles. They did not know each other yet, but they both shared the exact same magical passion for juggling. As they practiced on the bright festival stage, Bob accidentally tossed a blue ball way too far to the left. Oh no! But before the ball could hit the ground, Nilu ran over and caught it perfectly. Nilu smiled a big, warm smile and tossed the blue ball back into Bob's pattern. Bob laughed out loud and decided to toss a red ball over to Nilu. Soon, the American clown and the Bangladeshi clown were juggling together in perfect harmony. They shared their beautiful, colorful juggling balls, creating a magnificent flying rainbow of colors in the air. The juggling balls looked like colorful shooting stars. Green, blue, red, and white balls zoomed back and forth between them. People walking by stopped in their tracks to watch the amazing show. The crowd grew bigger and bigger as children pointed and clapped at the dazzling flying colors. Bob and Nilu moved in perfect rhythm, completely in sync. The bright festival stage had never seen such a fantastic juggling performance before. Bob and Nilu moved their hands faster and faster, keeping 20 colorful juggling balls floating in the air at the same time. The crowd cheered with joy, and the loud clapping echoed all around the happy festival. When it was time to finish the trick, the American clown and the Bangladeshi clown tossed all the balls high into the sky. The colorful balls rained down perfectly into their giant pockets, all at the exact same moment. The two new friends held hands and took a deep, proud bow while the children threw flowers onto the stage. They smiled at each other, knowing they had created something truly special. Bob and Nilu realized that sharing their favorite hobby made the magic even better. From that lovely day on, they traveled the world as a team, proving that friendship is the greatest magic of all. Sharing what you love with others can turn strangers into the very best of friends. The desert is a very old place, full of whispered secrets and warm, golden sand. In this quiet land lived Putla, a very special roadrunner. Putla had 100% light cream yellow feathers. Around her eyes were 2 dark blue circle patches, looking just like deep pools of twilight. When Putla was a tiny baby bird, she had a secret treasure. It was a little binky, a pacifier that made her feel safe. The desert mice would watch her scurry around with it, leaving tiny footprints on the dusty trails. Sometimes her mother, who was also a cream yellow roadrunner, tried to take the binky away so Putla could eat. When the binky left her beak, Putla cried big, sparkly tears. As the years turned like the pages of a dusty book, Putla grew taller. She was an adult now, but she still kept her childhood treasure close by. Now that Putla was fully grown, she could race the desert wind. The twilight sky painted the canyon in shades of purple. The strange, twisted cactus plants watched her as she stood by a tall rock. Her mother walked up to her, moving softly over the smooth stones. She looked at the binky tucked away under Putla's wing. It was time for a change, the kind of change that feels scary but right. Putla, no more binky. It's going to go bye-bye. Hearing those words, a cold shadow fell over Putla's heart. She closed her eyes, hiding her beautiful dark blue patches, and she cried. Her tears fell into the sand, just like when she was a little baby bird. It felt as if a gentle magic was leaving her. She wept, missing the comfort of the binky, unsure of how to be a grown roadrunner without it. The moon climbed into the velvet sky, casting a silver glow over the dunes. Putla stopped crying and opened her eyes. The desert wasn't empty or scary at all. Her friends, the little jumping mice and green lizards, gathered around her. They looked at her with kind eyes, offering their silent friendship. They had all grown up too, leaving behind their tiny eggshells to run free in the vast, magical desert. Putla took a deep breath. She placed the binky gently on a smooth stone. Suddenly, she felt incredibly light. She stretched her wings and darted across the sand. The wind ruffled her cream-yellow feathers, and a wonderful feeling filled her chest. Putla danced under the stars, completely happy. She realized she didn't need the binky to feel safe anymore. She had her friends, her speed, and the whole beautiful desert. Growing up means leaving some things behind, but making room for new adventures, true joy, and wonderful friends. Honey was not your average mouse. She was a bolt of light cream yellow fur with long, fabulous eyelashes, and she loved to run. One bright morning in the sunny green meadow, she was racing past the tall dandelion stalks when she tripped over something spectacular. It was a glowing, magical flower. It pulsed with a strange silvery light. Honey dusted off her knees, her whiskers twitching with excitement. She leaned in close to the shimmering petals. "What in the cheese crackers are you?" The flower hummed back. Honey felt a sudden burst of warmth in her chest. She remembered her best friend, Pip the squirrel, who was feeling sad today. "I wish Pip could find an acorn as big as his head." Instantly, the silvery petals flashed into a brilliant sparkly blue. Honey gasped. This wasn't just any plant, it was a wishing flower. Honey did not waste a single second. She zoomed across the meadow, her yellow tail like a little comet, until she found her friends resting near the big oak tree. "Guys, wake up! I found something totally epic!" Pip the squirrel and Benny the badger blinked their sleepy eyes. Honey grabbed their paws and pulled them all the way back to the glowing magical flower. By now, the flower was glowing a soft blue, matching Honey's wish for Pip. "Watch this!" Honey took a deep breath, focusing on Benny, who always tripped over his own big feet. "I wish Benny would get super speedy shoes so he never trips again." Whoosh! The flower changed from blue to a dazzling fiery orange. Warm sparkles danced in the air around them. Benny jumped up and down, feeling completely light on his toes. Honey smiled, realizing the flower changed colors with every kind wish she made for her friends. Soon, the entire meadow was filled with colorful light. Every time Honey or her friends whispered a kind, unselfish wish, the magical flower burst into a new shade, emerald green, bright purple and even cotton candy pink. Pip stepped forward, his squirrel nose twitching nervously. He looked at the glowing petals, then looked at the light cream yellow mouse who had brought them all together. I wish Honey always knows how awesome she is. The flower erupted into a spectacular rainbow of colors. The bright light washed over the sunny green meadow, making the grass look like it was painted with stardust. Honey felt a giant wave of happiness. You guys are the absolute best. She gave Pip and Benny a massive group hug. The magical flower kept glowing softly in the background. Honey knew she did not need any more wishes, because having such great friends was the most epic magic of all. The most powerful magic always comes from caring for others and sharing joy with your friends. Once upon a time, a beautiful forest was filled with bright balloons and colorful streamers. It was a very special day for three fast friends. Polly, Portia, and Portia the Roadrunners were celebrating their birthday together. Polly was a beautiful dark blue roadrunner. Portia was a bright emerald green roadrunner. Portia was a soft light cream yellow roadrunner. All three had lovely long eyelashes and big smiles. In the middle of the meadow sat a giant, delicious birthday cake covered in shiny candles. The Roadrunners danced around the cake, waiting for their guests to arrive. Soon, Barnaby the bear walked into the clearing. He wore a little party hat and carried a tiny wrapped gift. But when Barnaby saw the big sign that said, "Happy Birthday, Roadrunners," his smile vanished. He stomped his big furry feet on the grass. He wanted the party to be about him. Barnaby crossed his arms and began to grumble loudly. Barnaby the bear sat down right next to the birthday cake and started throwing a giant tantrum. He kicked the dirt and groaned, "I want it to be my birthday today. I want to blow out the shiny candles. I want all the presents and all the songs." The three Roadrunners stopped dancing. Polly fluttered her dark blue wings in surprise. Portia tilted her emerald green head. Portia nervously tapped her cream yellow claws. Just then, a tiny creature stepped forward. It was Pip the mouse. Pip looked up at the huge bear, planted his little paws on his hips, and took a deep breath. "Stop crying, Barnaby. Today is the Roadrunner's birthday, not yours. You have to wait for your own special day." Pip the mouse yelled so loudly that even the trees seemed to listen. Barnaby stopped kicking the dirt and looked down at the brave little mouse. Barnaby the bear felt a little bit silly. He wiped a small tear from his furry cheek. Pip the mouse was right. It was not fair to ruin his friend's special day. Barnaby stood up slowly and picked up the tiny wrapped gift he had dropped during his tantrum. "I am very sorry for yelling and stomping. Happy birthday, Polly, Portia, and Portia." The three beautiful Roadrunners blinked their long eyelashes and smiled warmly. They invited Barnaby to sit right next to them at the party table. Pip the mouse cheered happily and climbed onto Barnaby's shoulder. Together they all sang a loud and joyful birthday song. The three Roadrunners blew out the candles on their giant delicious cake, and everyone shared a huge slice. Barnaby learned that celebrating his friends was just as fun as celebrating himself. True friends celebrate each other's special moments with a happy heart. Lamongsi dashed through the busy city streets like a tiny yellow lightning bolt. She was a super fast roadrunner, completely light cream yellow, with pretty eyelashes and 2 dark blue circle patches right around her eyes. Today was the best day of the year. It was her birthday. She zoomed into the Central City Park, skidding to a halt on the green grass. The park looked completely empty. Where was everybody? Lamongsi tilted her head, tapping her foot. "Hello? Is anyone here?" Suddenly, a whole crowd of city animals popped out from behind the bushes. Pigeons, squirrels, and a very fluffy bulldog threw confetti into the air. Surprise! The park was instantly filled with bright banners and a massive seed cake. Lamongsi hopped up and down with absolute joy. Her friends had secretly worked all morning to decorate the park just for her. The fluffy bulldog stepped forward, clearing his throat. It was time for the big moment. All the animals gathered around the giant seed cake, clapping their paws and flapping their wings to the beat. "Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lamongsi. Happy birthday to you." Lamongsi spun in a happy circle. She felt so loved. After she blew out the sparkler candles, a squirrel handed her a large box wrapped in shiny silver paper. Open it fast!" Lamongsi tore off the paper with her beak. Inside was the coolest gadget she had ever seen. It was a large electronic toy covered in exactly 50 shiny buttons. There were red buttons, green buttons, and ones that blinked like tiny stars. "Whoa! This is amazing! What does it do?" Lamongsi did not wait another second. She pressed a bright red button right in the middle of her new toy. Beep, boop, bzz. The electronic toy lit up the whole park. Suddenly, a super catchy dance beat started playing from the gadget's speakers. She pressed another button, and a shower of safe, colorful bubbles shot out of the top. Every button did something hilarious and wonderful. "Press the green one next." Lamongsi tapped the green button, and the toy made a silly quacking noise. All her city friends burst out laughing. Soon the pigeons were breakdancing, and the bulldog was doing a goofy wiggle. Lamongsi ran around pressing all 50 buttons, making a wild symphony of lights and sounds. Surrounded by her amazing friends and awesome music, she knew this was the greatest birthday party in the history of the city. The best gifts are the ones we can share and enjoy with our wonderful friends. Barnaby was a bright green goat who loved to chew on anything he could find. His favorite place in the whole world was the sunny, overgrown garden behind the old farmhouse. One warm afternoon, Barnaby was happily munching on some crunchy leaves when he spotted something amazing. It was a giant horseradish root sticking out of the soft dirt. It looked so spicy and delicious. Barnaby trotted over and took a huge bite. It was very zingy. He loved the tingly feeling on his tongue so much that he took another bite, and then another. Before he knew it, the giant horseradish root was completely gone. Suddenly, Barnaby stopped chewing. His tummy started to rumble, and his ears felt very hot. He let out a loud burp, and a tiny puff of spicy smoke came out of his mouth. Oh no! He had eaten way too much horseradish, and now his tummy was doing angry flip-flops. Barnaby sat down on the grass, holding his spicy tummy with his front hooves. He panted heavily, feeling hotter and hotter. Oh my tummy feels like a fiery volcano. Just then, his best friend Penny the bluebird fluttered down from a tall sunflower. She saw Barnaby holding his belly and blowing hot air. "Barnaby, you look very green, and not in a good way. What happened to you?" "I ate a whole giant horseradish root, and now my tummy is too spicy. I need something to cool it down fast." Penny hopped onto his green horns and chirped cheerfully. "Do not worry, my friend. I know exactly what you need to fix a spicy tummy. Wait right here in the shade, and I will bring you the perfect cure." Barnaby nodded slowly, closing his eyes as his belly rumbled again. He hoped his friend would hurry back before he turned into a fire-breathing dragon. Soon, Penny returned carrying something very carefully in her beak. She set it gently on the grass in front of the green goat. It was a steaming mug of mint tea. The sweet, cool smell of mint floated through the air, making Barnaby's nose twitch happily. "Drink this slowly. The mint will soothe your spicy tummy and make the fire go away." Barnaby took a careful sip of the steaming mug of mint tea. It felt wonderfully cool sliding down his throat. He took another sip, and then a bigger gulp. Slowly, the heat in his ears faded away, and his tummy stopped doing angry flip-flops. "Wow, that feels so much better. Thank you, Penny. You are the best friend a goat could ever have." "You are very welcome, Barnaby, but maybe next time, do not eat the whole horseradish root all at once." Barnaby laughed, realizing she was right. From that day on, the bright green goat always shared his snacks, and he made sure to keep a steaming mug of mint tea nearby, just in case. Sharing with friends and enjoying snacks slowly is much better than eating everything all at once. Bandy was not your average farmyard bird. He was a spectacular, colorful Hungarian rooster with a magnificent tail and a very specific, very crunchy obsession. No, it was not corn. It was not plump beetles either. Bandy loved giant purple kohlrabi. Every single morning, while the other chickens pecked at ordinary seeds in the rustic farmhouse courtyard, Bandy marched straight to the vegetable patch. He strutted past the carrots. He ignored the pumpkins. He only had eyes for the beautiful, crisp, purple kohlrabi growing in neat little rows. "Out of my way, pigeons! I have a garden to raid." He would peck, munch, and crunch until his beak was stained purple. It was the most delicious thing in the world. But Bandy had a tiny problem. He never shared, and he never knew when to stop. Day after day, the rooster ate until his tummy bulged like a feathery balloon. The more kohlrabi he gobbled up, the rounder he became. One bright and breezy afternoon, the farm animals decided to visit the meadow beyond the garden. To get there, everyone had to hop over the tall wooden farmhouse fence. The hens fluttered over with a soft flap of their wings. Bandy puffed out his chest, ready to show off his spectacular flying skills. He took a running start, flapping his colorful wings as hard as he could. Here comes the magnificent Bandy! But instead of soaring through the air gracefully, Bandy barely lifted an inch off the ground. Thud! He bounced onto the soft dirt like a giant purple vegetable. He tried again. Flap, flap, plop. He had eaten so much kohlrabi that he was totally stuck. He wiggled his claws in the air, a completely round rooster stuck near the garden patch. Oh, feathers and fluff! I am too round to fly. Luckily, Bandy was not alone. His best friend, a clever little farm goat named Ricci, trotted over to the garden patch. Ricci gently nudged the round, panicked rooster with his nose. "Do not worry, my round friend. We will get you over that fence together." Ricci called the hens back from the meadow. With a lot of energetic clucking, they quickly built a small ram out of stacked hay bales. Bandy waddled to the top, looking down at the meadow. The goat gave him one gentle, friendly push from behind. Whee! Bandy rolled down the ramp and safely tumbled into the soft grass on the other side. The animals cheered loudly. Bandy shook his colorful feathers, feeling very lucky to have such amazing friends. From that day on, Bandy still loved the giant purple kohlrabi, but he always made sure to share it with his friends. Real friends will always help you over life's obstacles, especially when you learn to share the good things you have. Once upon a time, deep in a vibrant jungle, a wonderful group of animal friends loved to play together. There was a bouncy kangaroo, a colorful peacock, a fluffy skunk, a tiny yellow chick, and a bright green parakeet. They spent their days exploring tall ferns and splashing in sparkling streams. One sunny morning, the peacock noticed something terrible. His favorite golden feather was missing. This special feather sparkled in the sunlight and made him feel very happy. He looked down at his beautiful tail and felt a wave of sadness wash over him. Seeing their friend so upset, the others gathered around him in the middle of a flowery clearing. The kangaroo patted his back gently, while the little chick hopped around to cheer him up. The friends knew they had to act fast. Together, they made a silent promise to search every corner of the vibrant jungle until they found the lost golden feather. The great jungle search began right away. The friends quickly realized that by working together, they could cover a lot more ground. The bouncy kangaroo used her strong legs to hop high into the air, peeking into the lower branches of the giant trees. Down on the jungle floor, the fluffy skunk wiggled his nose and sniffed under the large, damp leaves. His keen sense of smell helped him check every hidden bush and mossy rock. The tiny yellow chick scurried behind him, using her little claws to scratch through the soft dirt and fallen flower petals. High above them all, the bright green parakeet soared through the thick green canopy. He kept his sharp eyes focused on the colorful vines and the high treetops, looking for any shiny golden sparkle catching the bright jungle sunlight. The whole team worked with incredible determination. Suddenly, the green parakeet fluttered his wings wildly and circled above a very tall, ancient fruit tree. He had spotted a brilliant golden shine. The beautiful golden feather was caught tightly on a high branch, fluttering gently in the warm jungle breeze. The friends rushed over, but the branch was too high for the parakeet to pull the feather loose on his own. It was time for the ultimate teamwork. The strong kangaroo crouched low, allowing the skunk to climb safely onto her shoulders. Then the little chick hopped right onto the skunk's head. With a mighty jump from the kangaroo, the animal tower reached high into the air. The parakeet grabbed the golden feather with his beak just as they reached the branch. They all tumbled into a soft pile of giant leaves, laughing with joy. The peacock placed the golden feather back in his tail, feeling incredibly grateful for his amazing friends. True friends will always team up to help you find what you have lost. Meet Sir Percival Reginald Featherbottom Maximilian the Brave. Most folks just call him Pip. Pip is a bird who loves late-night adventures. He wears a tiny aviator scarf and carries a big telescope. One windy night, Pip hopped up a tall, grassy hill. He wanted to look at the giant full moon. But when he peeked through his telescope, he gasped. The moon was missing a giant, perfect circle right out of its middle. Where did the middle of the moon go? Pip scratched his feathered head. He looked left. He looked right. Then he heard a loud flap, flap, flap above him. It was a giant flagpole. Waving proudly in the night sky was the flag of Bangladesh. It was a beautiful deep green, but right in the center was a bright red circle, and tonight that red circle was glowing like a ruby. Pip flapped his wings and zoomed up to the top of the flagpole. The wind blew his scarf around his beak, but Pip was a brave explorer. He perched right on the golden ball at the tip of the pole. "Hey down there, are you the missing moon piece?" The red circle on the flag shimmered. It pulsed with a warm, friendly light. Up above, the silvery moon shined down on the flag. Pip realized the amazing truth. The moon had not lost its piece, it had shared it. The flag's red circle was a piece of the moon's fiery heart, given to the earth to shine during the day and night. But the moon looked a little sad up in the dark sky without its center. "Don't worry, Mr. Moon, I know exactly how to fix this." Pip zoomed down and grabbed a shiny silver mirror from his explorer backpack. Pip flew back up to the flagpole as fast as his wings could carry him. He carefully tied the mirror to the pole, angling it perfectly toward the sky. Instantly, the mirror caught the glowing red light from the flag circle. It bounced the warm light straight up. The red beam zoomed into the empty hole in the moon. Suddenly, the moon was full again. It glowed with a magnificent mix of silver and brilliant red. "We did it! Look at you shine!" Pip cheered and did a happy loop-the-loop in the air. The moon smiled down at the flag of Bangladesh, and the flag waved cheerfully back at the moon. They were not just sharing a piece of light anymore, they were best friends. Pip landed on the grass, wrapped himself in his aviator scarf, and watched the glowing red and silver sky until morning. What a perfect night for a brave little bird! Sharing your special light with others makes the whole world shine brighter together. Zola was a 100% black female roadrunner with long eyelashes, and she loved causing trouble. Instead of helping the desert critters, Zola stole shiny bottle caps and kicked up huge clouds of dust. "Catch me if you can, slowpokes!" Zola yelled as she zipped past a grumpy lizard. Suddenly, a loud siren echoed across the canyon. A human police officer stepped out of a police cruiser holding a tiny pair of bird handcuffs. "That is enough, little bird," the police officer said, crossing his arms. "You are under arrest for being a desert menace." Zola tried to run, but she tripped over her own stash of stolen bottle caps. The officer gently scooped her up and put her in the back of the car. The desert road was suddenly very quiet. The animals peeked out from the rocks, wondering who would guide them across the busy highway now. Just then, a gentle breeze swept down the dusty road. Out stepped Hura, a beautiful 100% light cream yellow female roadrunner. She had lovely eyelashes and two striking dark blue circle patches right around her eyes. Unlike Zola, Hura was calm and incredibly patient. She walked up to the scattered bottle caps and began neatly stacking them. "Do not worry, little friends," Hura smiled, waving a feathered wing at the hiding animals. "I am here to help you cross the road safely." A tiny desert mouse scurried up to her, looking a bit nervous. "Are you going to kick dust in my face?" the mouse squeaked. "Absolutely not," Hura laughed softly. "We are going to be great friends. Let us walk together." Hura guided the mouse across the hot pavement. She was the perfect replacement. With a happy chirp, she made sure everyone felt safe. There was no more chaos. A few hours later, the human police officer drove back down the highway to check on the canyon. He saw Hura leading a parade of happy turtles across the road. "Well, I will be," the officer cheered, taking off his hat. "You are doing a fantastic job, Hura." From the back seat of the police car, Zola peeked out through the window. She saw how much fun everyone was having with Hura. Nobody was covered in dust. Maybe being nice is actually cooler than causing trouble, Zola muttered to herself. Hura noticed the black roadrunner looking out. Instead of bragging, Hura gave Zola a friendly wink. "When you learn to be kind, Zola, we can run the road together," Hura called out. Zola nodded slowly. With Hura in charge, the desert road was a joyful place. The animals cheered, and Hura ruffled her yellow feathers, ready for adventure. True heroes use their energy to help others, because kindness and patience always win the race. The final bell rang with a loud, cheerful chime. It was time to go home, but Leo had other plans. For Leo, the colorful kindergarten classroom was not just a room. It was an entire universe of paint, blocks, and boundless adventure. While the other kids packed their backpacks, Leo placed a glowing yellow toy crown firmly on his head. He grabbed his trusty cardboard sword and dashed toward the giant wooden castle playset in the corner of the room. "No one can make me leave the kingdom!" Leo scrambled up the sturdy wooden ladder and ducked inside the tallest tower of the playset. He loved the smell of fresh crayons, the squishy beanbag chairs, and the endless bin of building blocks. Going home meant eating boring vegetables and taking a soapy bath. Staying here meant ruling a magnificent empire of fun. He pulled up the imaginary drawbridge and let out a triumphant giggle. "King Leo stays forever! I declare this castle my permanent home!" A few minutes later, the classroom door creaked open. Leo's mother walked in, holding his superhero jacket. She looked around the empty tables and smiled warmly. Where could my favorite kindergartner be? Leo clamped his hands over his mouth to muffle a laugh. He peeked through the tiny square window of the giant wooden castle playset. His glowing yellow toy crown sparkled in the afternoon sunlight. The king is not receiving visitors today. His best friend, a clever girl named Maya, skipped over to the castle. She knocked on the wooden drawbridge. "But, Your Majesty, who will help me build the spaceship tomorrow if you never leave the castle today?" Leo scratched his chin. That was a very good point. A king could not abandon his chief engineer. But he loved his fortress so much. He crossed his arms and sat down on a velvet cushion. The king can build spaceships from the royal tower. Leo's mother stepped closer to the fortress, pulling a shiny foil packet from her pocket. "I suppose the king doesn't want to attend the grand royal feast at home. There are chocolate chip cookies waiting in the royal kitchen." Leo's stomach gave a loud, rumbling growl. He looked around his beloved, colorful kindergarten classroom. The block towers stood tall, and the paint station was clean. The giant wooden castle playset would still be here tomorrow, ready for new quests. Does the royal feast include extra chocolate chips? Only for the most courageous rulers. With a bright smile, Leo pushed the imaginary drawbridge down and climbed out of his stronghold. He carefully placed his glowing yellow toy crown on the castle wall, keeping it safe for the next day. He hugged his mom and gave Maya a high five. The king is ready for his cookies. Onward to the royal minivan. Every great adventure needs a pause so we can rest and dream of tomorrow's quests. High up on the chilliest, most miserable mountain ledge in the world lived Barnaby. Barnaby was a grumpy hawk. He had a sharp beak and a terribly sour attitude. He spent his days scowling at the clouds and squawking at the snow. "Go away, silly wind," he yelled. But the freezing mountain storm blew harder, turning Barnaby's feathers into tiny popsicles. He sneezed a giant feathery sneeze. Suddenly, long, twitchy ears poked over the icy rocks. It was Jumper, a brave and slightly cheeky jackrabbit. Jumper was hopping happily, dragging a glowing berry branch behind him. The branch sparkled with warm light, melting the snow around Jumper's paws. Barnaby puffed his chest, trying to look fierce. "This is my ledge, bouncy fuzzball," Barnaby squawked. Jumper just giggled and wiggled his nose. The grumpy hawk glared with his sharpest eyes, but Jumper was entirely unimpressed. The jackrabbit plopped down right on the mountain ledge and ignored Barnaby's scary face. "You look like a frozen turkey," Jumper giggled. "I am a majestic predator," Barnaby shrieked, though his beak chattered. Jumper shook his head and got to work. He snapped twigs from his glowing berry branch. With a crackle, he built a tiny, magical campfire. The glowing berries popped, filling the frosty air with a mouth-watering smell. It smelled like hot cherry pie. Barnaby tried to look away, but his tummy had other ideas. It let out a monstrous rumble. Grumble, rumble, roar! "Is there a thunderstorm in your belly?" Jumper asked, holding up a roasted, gooey berry. Barnaby crossed his wings and pouted, but he could not stop staring at the snack. The grumpy hawk tried very hard to stay mad, but the warm smell was too much to resist. Slowly, he waddled over to the fire. "Fine, I suppose I can taste one berry," Barnaby mumbled. Jumper smiled a big, toothy smile and tossed a warm berry into Barnaby's beak. It was spectacular. The warmth spread from his feathery head down to his talons. Barnaby gobbled 2 more and let out a happy burp. "Excuse me," Barnaby whispered. The freezing mountain storm howled, but the mountain ledge was cozy and bright. Jumper yawned and stretched out his paws. To his absolute surprise, the big, grumpy hawk did something shocking. Barnaby scooted close and wrapped his enormous wings around the jackrabbit like a feathery blanket. "Don't tell anyone about this, fuzzball," Barnaby grumbled softly, smiling secretly. Jumper snuggled deeper into the feathers. Even the grumpiest hearts can be warmed up by a little kindness and a shared snack.